You are listening to a summary of the AI Organization, a book by David Carmona.
Touted as the fourth industrial revolution, artificial intelligence is set to surpass other technological innovations in its breadth and scope. Organizations must recognize that while AI is still an evolving system, the time to build it into every facet of your company is now. Microsoft AI developer David Carmona has both the technical expertise and big-picture perspective on how organizations can foster AI solutions in their technical departments, business units, and among their employees. Whether your enterprise is in the public or private sector, in manufacturing or HR or sales, AI will transform your systems. For the unprepared, AI will arrive like a tsunami. With this guide, your organization can ride the wave.
AI will transform every dimension of business, from operations to customer engagement to products. The digital transformation started decades ago, when companies used software to create systems of record. Keeping records digitally extended into systems of engagement, expanding into customer relations. These systems generated enormous amounts of data, which now must be optimized with new systems of intelligence. Well designed and deployed, such systems should provide insights and make outcomes as efficient as possible so businesses can make better decisions. No one called them artificial intelligence until recently. However, when they became more sophisticated. Today, AI applications recognize images, transcribe speech, translate languages and interpret texts faster and with better accuracy than humans. However, AI has limitations. It hasn't achieved general intelligence, which requires abstract reasoning, emotional intelligence, conceptualization, and self-awareness. For instance, supervised learning algorithms require immense amounts of data to provide meaningful outputs. AI capabilities fall into three categories. 1. Perception, vision, audio, speech and natural language. 2. Cognition, regression, classification, recommendation, planning, optimization, and pattern recognition. 3. Learning, supervised, unsupervised, and reinforcement learning. Over time, AI will improve its capacity not only to process information, but to build on perceptive and cognitive abilities, sensing the world around it and deriving meaning from that stimulus. While many improvements exist in natural language processing systems, machines do not yet have true understanding of what they hear or say. AI will transform how organizations operate, connect with customers, enhance products, and engage employees. AI remains experimental and iterative, but still has applications in flexible systems. You can deploy AI across your organization's existing applications. Specifically, systems of record, which form the foundation of most enterprises, and also systems of engagement, which are usually bespoke or modified out-of-the-box applications. Customer-facing applications can use AI to track number of users, time spent, conversion to sales, and others. In employee-facing applications, AI can streamline and automate tasks. Assess which applications in your organization will most benefit from AI infusion. Determine relevance, control, impact, and the amount of time and effort it will require. Two common and popular infusions are in recommender systems and personalization. Users engage with applications that observe and filter their activity to provide recommendations that they base on their preferences. Augmented reality is another way to engage users by providing remote assistance and training. Finally, cognitive search can allow users to extract additional attributes from their applications, using image and speech recognition, For instance, conversational agents or chatbots are often the first step companies make into AI-assisted systems. They are a popular way to drive customer engagement and reduce human-to-human interaction for mundane or repetitive requests, but also should be able to provide recommendations. Start with narrow chatbots for simpler interactions. Then integrate them under an omnibot that will sort through requests and direct them to the proper chatbot. Deep learning can make these agents more resilient by training them using past customer interactions, improving their predictions and outcomes. Train business units to implement AI solutions horizontally and vertically in their enterprises. Business units and technology departments should coordinate their practices to rethink their organization's primary functions. Create inventories and categorize processes under a framework that includes the following zones. 1. Incubation, evaluating opportunities to expand business using technology. This is long-term and therefore more agile. 2. Transformation, choosing opportunities to develop and scale that will push the organization beyond business as usual practices. 3. Performance, generating revenues that rely on ROI and investment priorities. 4. Productivity, optimizing effectiveness while reducing inefficiencies. These zones will be the venues in which tech and business units can determine where and how to deploy AI. Consider carefully the advantages of bringing AI into various business use cases, especially in the incubation and transformation zones. Because AI is iterative, its life cycle should have metrics to assess its impact, its quality, and its actual implementation to improve future iterations. Horizontal processes, HR, marketing, sales, IT, and vertical processes, manufacturing, healthcare, retail, require different approaches. Horizontal processes span industries and are more amenable to standardized applications. AI can provide great insight into marketing activities. For instance, it can use natural language processing to listen to customers, observe the competition, and analyze feedback. It also can use pattern recognition to follow trends on applications and optimize targeted customers. Beyond just customer engagement, AI in horizontal systems can transform sales, finance, and HR with exceptional classification and forecasting capability, as well as improved communications between internal and external stakeholders. Vertical processes are unique to their industries, and AI has more potential for disruption in them. They require deep exploration between tech departments and business units in organizations. For instance, the Internet of Things, IoT, will transform manufacturing. AI perception, which sensors deploy, will help with maintenance, quality control, industrial safety, automation, and supply chain management. Similar varieties appear in applications in finance, fintech, and retail sectors, where AI might have the biggest impact, however, would be the public sector, where efficiency remains elusive and affects other sectors with tedious bureaucracy. Employees are the heart of the AI organization. Technical departments and business units benefit from AI in their processes, but an organization doesn't really undergo transformation until employees experience empowerment with AI. Past technological revolutions follow this democratization. Soon, employees will become citizen data scientists, using simple tools to participate in the AI revolution. It requires fulfilling 3 criteria. 1. Democratization of knowledge. Currently, data are disseminated in complex ways across organizations and are inaccessible to most employees. They need knowledge that is structured, graphs, semantic, clearly defined attributes, and consolidated. 2. Democratization of AI consumption, build AI into existing programs, such as Excel, to augment employee workflow. For instance, a sales consultant could use AI capability to identify customers who might buy a certain product. 3. Democratization of AI creation, using transfer learning, a non-technical user can customize a model that a data scientist trains. Already, tools and interfaces exist that will help more non-technical users build AI into their processes. Automated machine learning, AutoML, takes a dataset as an input and identifies the best machine learning algorithm, parameters and data transformations to produce a desired output. Azure Machine Learning Studio gives users more control, though it does require some knowledge of machine learning. Finally, the machine teaching approach allows the user to transfer knowledge to the machine by breaking down processes into small units. Generalization and examples. For instance, automation could be accelerated with robotic process automation, where the machine observes and imitates users interacting with applications. This could improve productivity massively in fields such as data entry. AI development teams must be agile and independent, yet maintain strong connections with the business. It is tempting to use the project-based management approach to AI development in your organization, where you identify goals and set up teams with deadlines and deliverables. However, because AI is evolving, more relevant with the product-based approach, which focuses more on the needs of the user. Even more salient would be a platform-based management process, where you consider not only final users, but how every product serves as a foundation for other products in your organization. This helps with sharing and integrating processes and information and reduces redundancy. AI development teams, using the platform-based management configuration, must necessarily have some autonomy, but also operate with and understand the organization's business goals. These machine learning ops, MLOps, manage the continuous integration process and use telemetry to track and trace issues in real time. The MLOps loop demonstrates this integration and dissemination process. 1. Definition: business stakeholders working closely with developers to determine business needs, experiment with models, and acquire data. 2. Development: implementing the process, preparing data, modeling and training. Solutions are incrementally integrated and monitored. 3. Operations: managing the system and production and operations is part of the continuous deployment in its various iterations, and provides feedback via telemetry. The AI team should be leaders in all aspects of AI strategy and deployment in an organization. They serve many functions beyond the technical, such as research, AI architecture, AI production, services to the MLOps teams, and training across the organization. It is vital that the AI team have a strong relationship with the business, even while maintaining autonomy in rolling out AI processes. The CEO must also be fully committed to the transformation and reinforce the AI vision. AI is only as good as the data that firms use to train it, and the data must be diverse and rich to be meaningful. Data are created everywhere in organizations, which need strategies to manage that data, particularly when cultural change is occurring. The data estate includes operational data, CRM, and ERP, but also the following. 1. Unstructured information, scanned documents, photos, contracts, etc. 2. Usage data which systems of engagement, SOs, generate, such as websites and mobile apps. 3. Data from IoTs, sensors, controllers, etc. 4. Employee data, emails and minutes from meetings. 5. Global and third-party data. For years, data have resided in system silos, inaccessible to other systems. AI requires a very different approach, as much data from as many diverse origins as possible. Operational data stores, ODSs, and data warehouses are good resources because they store data as dimensions and facts, making it easy to aggregate and train AI models. But that approach lacks scope. Enormous data lakes have raw data, ideal for feeding AI but difficult to interpret in an unstructured state. Data hubs can act as conduits to these different data storage systems. And because they are a strategy, not a technology, they are very flexible. A data hub can add semantics to unstructured data, can copy or just refer to data storage systems, and centralize governance and security. No amount of data in the world will help a company that isn't data-driven. Organizations must embrace 3 core behaviors: generating, sharing and leveraging others' data. They form a loop, and telemetry provides feedback to make the loop robust. With cooperation at every level across departments, data estates are gold mines. Upskilling employees with AI training across departments will reinforce its relevance. Many call AI the 4th industrial revolution, believing it has the potential to transform and redefine processes in organizations. Managing this transformation requires skills a lot of companies don't have, and they have to be deployed in technical departments, business units, and among employees. But you don't have to train an army of AI experts. Lower friction solutions exist through vendors like Microsoft and Google Cloud that can assist tech departments, though eventually, they will need to learn to build AI models themselves. Set up relationships with universities and research institutions. Organizations will need multidisciplinary teams to facilitate symbiosis between tech departments and business units. Business units need AI champions who don't need to build AI, but must know what to do with it. Finally, employees need training to absorb AI knowledge and apply it to their work. They will need to understand basic concepts even if they aren't building systems. Most companies start with upskilling their technical teams, and many technical training resources are available, including Microsoft AI School. Business units can also access Microsoft's AI Business School to get the knowledge necessary to optimize AI applications. Train the Trainers programs create catalyzers, employees who learn about AI and share their learning with their peers. Most importantly, when hiring for an AI organization, leaders should seek employees who are open to an agile environment and are comfortable with the iterative process AI demands. They should be diverse, collaborative, and passionate about what they do. Follow the 6 principles of responsible AI: fairness, reliability, privacy, inclusiveness, transparency, and accountability. AI is a powerful entity, and you must deploy it responsibly. Organizations must get on board, developing AI that employees and customers alike can trust. Microsoft created its 6 principles very early in its AI journey. They have guided the firm and its partners since. They are: 1. Fairness. Training data may have human-generated biases that affect how AI functions. An AI model trained on mostly Caucasian faces for facial recognition might not work on other races. To avoid biases, domain experts should assess and make certain the data are representative and fair. 2. Reliability and safety. AI has great potential to improve people's safety, but it is not mature enough yet to be reliable in high-stakes situations. Testing and monitoring systems prior to implementation is crucial, especially since it uses probability in its algorithms. Domain experts can identify when systems are not performing to standard, and human intervention is allowable when failsafe occurs. 3. Privacy and security. Like other data-driven technology, AI will need to ensure safe collection, use and storage of personal data. It is also vulnerable to hackers because of its automatic learning processes. For instance, Microsoft endured an embarrassing incident when its virtual assistant, Tay, fell victim to hacking and learned hate speech. 4. Inclusiveness. Access to technology for people with disabilities has been an ongoing challenge. But with new developments in making access context-dependent, the solutions will be more general. Inclusive design starts with identifying mismatched experiences, fostering empathy and extending accessibility technology to everyone. 5. Transparency. AI is a unique technology because deep learning relies on algorithms that make decisions according to inferred rules. Their models are black boxes, with no one knowing how they made their decisions. Domain experts would have to monitor AI decisions to debug errors. It is not good for end users if AI can't explain its conclusions about why. For example, a loan application was denied. 6. Accountability. As AI systems become more autonomous, it is tempting to offload responsibility for errors on its processes. This is unacceptable. Furthermore, if developers and users fall into automation addiction, they will cease to recognize problems over time because of complacency. Every decision AI makes must be traceable and subject to continuous monitoring.
You're listening to a summary of Gods of Management, a book by Charles Handy. Philosopher Charles Handy compares today's dominant management styles to the qualities of 4 mythological Greek gods. Drawing archetypal inspiration from Zeus, Apollo, Athena, and Dionysus, Handy breaks down the subtle differences that inform competing approaches to management. He argues that today's managers face making the transition from a hierarchical corporate Apollonian culture to a more diverse democratic one. In this evergreen business classic, Handy posits that increased complexity and individualism will fuel a reign of new managerial gods. Okay, first, let's hear takeaway 1. The mythological Greek gods embody contemporary management archetypes. The ancient Greeks saw their gods as more than theological deities. Each god represented specific interests and values. People decided which gods they would serve according to their sense of alignment with each deity's symbolic emphasis. Today, leaders can choose among 4 different management styles in corresponding corporate cultures represented by the mythological gods: Zeus, Apollo, Athena, and Dionysus. Each god symbolically embodies different leadership views of influence, power, human motivation, change, and the future of work. Now let's move on to takeaway number 2. Leaders must understand 4 Greek god-inspired cultures. Use the power of these Greek god-inspired cultures to help you navigate different contexts. First, the club culture. The organizational culture that Zeus represents relies on divisions of labor with those closest to the organization's center, wielding the most influence and power, and all workers reporting to a central authority. Zeus-like cultures are pervasive in entrepreneurial organizations, investment banks, brokerage firms, and certain startups. This culture values speed over quality. In such organizations, empathy hinges on trust and affinity. Second, the role culture. Apollo's organizational culture embraces rules, flowcharts, and order. Roles have more clout than personalities in this bureaucratic culture, which values predictability and stability. Life insurance companies, state industries, and local governments embody Apollonian culture. Third, the task culture. Athena's culture calls on teams to identify problems, find solutions, and allocate resources in a continuous process. Athena, the warrior goddess, leads a loosely connected network of commando units, mostly autonomous teams working together toward a shared mission. Companies that thrive on variety or that are expanding, such as advertising agencies, consultancy groups, and those launching new products, adhere to this culture. And fourth, the existential culture. Dionysus, the hedonistic god of wine, rules existential cultures that attract those who want to rule their own destiny. Here, unlike in the other 3 cultures, the individual doesn't serve the organization. The culture exists to support individuals. For example, when doctors, artists, attorneys, or architects work together, they cooperate to achieve individual goals. Managers have less status in such organizations, where people view them as capable of tackling unpleasant, necessary tasks as a housekeeper might. Great. So now we can move on to the third takeaway. Each mythological god has a different approach to changing and managing teams and to setting incentives. Each of the 4 cultures uses the power of thinking in different ways and has a distinct strategy about learning. For example, a Zeus-like leader is an intuitive thinker who learns quickly through testing ideas and making mistakes. Zeus's club cultures value learning through apprenticeship. Learning isn't an open activity, but is carried out secretively to avoid the appearance of weakness. Apollonian leaders are analytical, logical, sequential thinkers. They view learning as an acquisitive training process that prepares individuals for new roles. Athenians value continuous learning and team approaches to problem solving. They see areas that need improvement as problems to solve together. Athenian organizations value individual self-development, with team members often bidding for new roles. Dionysians tend to be flexible thinkers who prefer learning through experience. They resent anyone who tries to plan their future for them and oppose hierarchical thinking. Each mythological god represents different management approaches to influencing, changing, motivating, and rewarding teams. Zeus-like cultures enact change by replacing people rather than transforming them. Those who know powerful people wield the most influence. Power motivates Zeus, who rewards people by expanding their responsibility in networks. In duty-based Apollonian cultures, change means updating roles, structures, or systems. Leaders reward and motivate Apollonian teams by expanding their formal authority and bestowing the status symbols that accompany greater responsibility, such as expense accounts and executive cars. Athenian teams change when leaders persuade their team members to agree to change, with individuals finding motivation in serving a common purpose. To reward and motivate Athenians, give them opportunities for self-development, variety in assignments, and results-based paychecks. Dionysians resent those who try to influence them, so approach any change as a negotiation. They regard being creative and improving the world as rewards in themselves. Well, so far so good. Now let's listen to takeaway 4. 4 forces shape organizations and their cultures: size, life cycles, work patterns, and personnel. 4 factors influence your workplace culture. The first factor is size. Larger organizations tend to be more Apollonian because their leaders rely on formal control and coordination methods as teams grow to larger than 10 people and organizations become more impersonal. Second, life cycles. Organizations that cycle through change most quickly tend to be Athenian. These rapid-paced organizations prioritize problem-solving over administrative capacity. The third factor is work patterns. Organizations can work by following several different kinds of patterns. They can use flow patterns, such as assembly lines, that use one section's work as input for others. They can follow repeated copy patterns, as in branch banking or gasoline stations, and produce identical work in each separate section. They can select unit patterns for independently operating sections, such as independent small businesses. Copy and flow patterns work best in Apollonian cultures. Organizations that use unit patterns tend to be Zeus-like. But they can be Athenian or Dionysian when teachers or other professionals work in collaborative environments. And finally, people. The generation into which you were born, your early experiences, and your environment form your cultural expectations and preferences. For example, today's individualistic youth culture doesn't generally align easily with the role culture of Apollo. Occupations that require less education tend to prefer Zeus-like cultures, while those demanding higher education levels are often more Dionysian or Athenian. Differences in personality influence your cultural preferences. An individualist, for example, wouldn't enjoy working in a team-based Athenian culture. All right, let's now hear the 5th takeaway. National differences contribute to variations in corporate cultures. Organizations develop different default cultures, in part due to their social and national contexts. When social psychologist Geert Hofstede researched the cultural differences of various nations, including interviewing personnel in 40 countries, he concluded that national differences manifest themselves most sharply in how people perceive uncertainty, individualism, masculinity, and power. In short, it depends on whether people approve or disapprove of hierarchies. For example, in Austria and Germany, people tend to dislike uncertainty. They value equality over hierarchy, embrace stereotypical masculinity, and are wary of individualism, making their organizations appear more Apollonian. In France, by contrast, people tend to enjoy power, hierarchy, and individualism, while eschewing risk-taking, which makes their workplace cultures more Zeus-like. These are cultural generalizations. Not everyone with the same nationality will share the same views. Leaders can strive for balance by using management approaches each of the four mythological gods inspire. For example, many successful organizations in the United States make their more Apollonian cultures viable by incorporating the leadership qualities of Athena, Zeus, and occasionally Dionysus. Different types of organizations tend toward different cultural styles. For example, in schools and academic institutions, Dionysian and Apollonian culture elements vie for control with Zeus-like management. Each mythological god represents enduring traditions that serve different contexts. Organizations that balance them offer positive lessons. Okay, now for another takeaway. Apollonian cultures inspire resistance because they're too complex, alienate individual workers, and don't align with modern values. As individual imperatives such as increased personal choice disrupt organizational imperatives like corporate growth, the dominant Apollonian cultural model must contend with three facets of resistance. First, complexity. Critics argue that Apollonian structures are too big to properly manage complexity. Apollonian cultures tend to work best when routine work takes place in stable environments. They can fail when uncertainty overwhelms them. Leaders with higher levels of education tend to better cope with complexity and the requisite abstract thinking. The second facet is individual alienation. Apollonian organizations can prioritize roles, many of which are mundane, over the growth of the people who fill them. Some argue that money is no longer a sufficient incentive for working and that this is a good thing. And finally, shifting values. Societal norms and values are changing to favor Athenian and Dionysian cultures that support personal expression and collective action over Apollo's impersonal conformist culture. While many people now expect workplaces to be more democratic, Apollonian leaders tend to ignore democracy. Top-down decision-making may be more efficient, but Apollonian leaders should realize that workers in societies that lack scarcity regard the cost of efficiency as too high. Now we've reached the seventh takeaway. Apollonian domination is ending as Dionysus, Athena, and Zeus prove emergent. To remain relevant, Apollonian organizations must change to prioritize the needs of the individual. Using federalism as a model, combining interdependence and independence, successful future organizations will resemble cities of villages or smaller groups that work together toward a broader vision. Athenian and Dionysian values will become the new norms, so organizations that cling to rigid hierarchies and stifle debate won't survive. Imagine problem-solving Athenians, Dionysian professionals and craftsmen, and Apollonians working alongside one another with a Zeus-like center uniting them in a common purpose. Today's emerging corporate culture operates on the basis of management by consent. Employees expect to be asked to perform their jobs, not told. The term management seems dated. Many professionals dislike the notion of someone managing them, since it implies control or manipulation. Organizations should no longer view people as resources to deploy, but as valuable contributing individuals with inalienable rights. Okay, so now we can hear the eighth and final takeaway. Organizations must adapt to survive as they replace their dominant gods. Organizations are restructuring and adapting to survive, resulting in cultures that no longer favor their old mythological gods. Societal shifts underway include the move toward a more Dionysian society that values credentials or other evidence of continuous learning and retraining, the decline of long-term employment and the emergence of a more contractual economy, changes to norms surrounding ownership in the form of cooperatives or discounted shares for workers, and new paradigms or assumptions about the nature of work in society. For example, women dramatically change workplace norms as they gain power and influence. Leaders must not risk dystopian scenarios in which people endure increasing splits along socioeconomic lines. which divide those who work from those who cannot keep up. If your organization cannot envision change, your competitors or industry disruptors will overtake you. Well, that was a summary of Gods of Management, a book by Charles Handy. Let's recap those 8 takeaways one more time. Takeaway 1. The mythological Greek gods embody contemporary management archetypes. Takeaway 2. Leaders must understand 4 Greek god-inspired cultures. The third takeaway. Each mythological god has a different approach to changing and managing teams and to setting incentives. Takeaway number 4. 4 forces shape organizations and their cultures: size, life cycles, work patterns, and personnel. The fifth takeaway: national differences contribute to variations in corporate cultures. The sixth takeaway: Apollonian cultures inspire resistance because they're too complex, alienate individual workers, and don't align with modern values. Takeaway 7. Apollonian domination is ending as Dionysus, Athena, and Zeus prove emergent. And finally, takeaway 8. Organizations must adapt to survive as they replace their dominant gods.